welcome back to Perspectives. I'm David Schoneman. I'm your host here, and we are still on March 18th, 2025, and we're doing a second installment here on today's show because there's just so much to talk about. I'm still in the studio again with Dave Narkunas and Greg Faith, and we got a few more things we got to touch on and talk about here, and we need more time to do it. So thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you missed the first one, you can take a look at that too. That'll be listed as part one, where these two guys had a big announcement. They are both running for U.S. Senator Shaheen's soon-to-be open seat. Congratulations once again to you guys. Look forward to having you on and hearing how the campaign is going. But let's talk about a few other things. Let's talk about energy. One of the things that Trump needs to work on and is working on is inflation, of course, and the cost of goods. But a huge factor in the cost of goods is energy because of the transportation. There's energy required to make something, and there's energy required to get it from one point to another. And, you know, we're here in New Hampshire, and we've got Route 3. You know, we drove on Route 3 to get over here. You see trucks, certainly. But if you travel the country, and we've traveled the country, took a big trip out west last year. We were on I-40, and I-70, and I-80, and I-90 out west. And the volume of truck traffic is huge. And these guys are good drivers. And the roads aren't as crowded out there as they are here. But we're driving along, pulling our camper, and there's big trucks everywhere. Not only that, there's big trains everywhere. Our son loves trains, but the roads out west often parallel the train tracks, and trains run on diesel fuel. That comes out of the ground. So energy moves America. Energy moves all this product.
Energy makes America.
Energy makes America. Yeah, well, that's true. Energy is for manufacturing, energy for transportation. And we have hamstrung ourselves. The Democrats have hamstrung us.
I'm glad you said it that way.
For their own benefit.
Big disappointment.
Because I don't know if it's an envy thing, or they don't like the success that business people in America have had, or what. But they have hamstrung us with this whole, what did Hegseth call it? This green energy crap.
Green New Deal?
The Green New Deal or the Green New Scam?
Yeah.
Well, that's the Trump version.
Well, that's the one I'm sticking with.
The Green New Scam. So all this stuff is super expensive, and frankly, those windmills don't drive trucks or trains.
No, they don't.
It doesn't get us from point A to point B.
No, they don't work. They don't have sails on them. They don't work.
They don't work. They don't work. They really don't.
But everyone says they do.
And when the wind stops blowing, they stop turning.
Yeah.
And the birds don't die, though. That's the good thing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the whole thing about making gasoline, making gasoline out of something in the ground, you get a cubic foot of gasoline. How many gallons is a cubic foot? It's a significant amount of gas. It's a few gallons anyway. But a cubic foot of gasoline, you put that into your car, and you can go a long distance. It's stable. It stores well. Unlike the batteries, a cubic foot is much smaller than a battery that can't take you nearly as far. So the effectiveness of, I'm not even going to call them fossil fuels. I think that's a misnomer.
It is. It's biological material.
Yes, but it's not fossil fuel, because that makes they coined that back in the 70s because they wanted to make the case that it's running out, it's going away, we're losing it. And they used to say, that with our current reserves, we've got enough oil in the ground to last us X number of years, but they were probably trending the oil consumption and probably increasing it with time, but they were doing nothing. They assumed that the oil that we had in the ground was all that we had. The oil that we knew about was all that we had. But as technology has advanced, we're able to get more out of places that we couldn't get oil out of before.
Faster than we're spending. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're increasing our technology at a faster rate than we're consuming this oil. And that means that our reserves have been going up. So as time goes on, our reserves aren't going down, our reserves are going up. And Trump has said we have more oil than anybody.
Liquid gold under our feet or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think what needs to be taken understanding here is, don't forget that the oil refineries are aging and they're being
refineries
shut down.
Now that's an important thing too.
You hear about these regulations being done by a previous administration, which cause these older aging refineries to leave the existence and be destroyed.
Yeah.
Now that causes that bottleneck of Canadian, whatever, where they got to go. The programs need to be set up by the EPA, which is part of this deregulation that Trump's trying to do, is also related to that, because if it's sitting in these tanks, it ain't making me no money. And I'm a short-term investor, and I want to see my return come back quick. I don't see right now anybody talking about refinery construction.
Well, we have to do something about that because we can't take the oil out of the ground and put it right in our car.
That's correct.
For sure.
You got to distill it. It has to be done.
Right. We have to do all that. And but that's another way the Democrats have tried to harm us, not only by saying we can't drill, we can't take it, but they're trying to take away our production capability too. So all this plays into international politics, of course, and we had the issue with Canada. And tariffs and the new Canadian, at least interim or permanent prime minister, whoever he is, saying obviously he's going to cut off the power to the United States. I think he backed down from that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Pretty quickly.
He did. Real within 45 minutes from when it was, I'm going to tear 25% of all your steel and aluminum there, Prime Minister. Guess what? And it begins now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so
course,
he backtracked.
He backed off big time. But now here.
So this guy, all these guys talk big.
Yeah, but Trump plays with big cards that are just
You
sitting
know,
here going,
he does,
ding,
and he
ding, ding.
anticipates, he plays the long game.
He's a businessman,
He
not a
anticipates what's going to happen in the conversation. He didn't say he was going to put on tariffs and think that Canada wasn't going to, some child prime minister was going to come up with something silly and make some kind of threat, and then Trump knew ahead of time
the whole thing,
how he was going to respond.
He knows that people are just going to do what he says.
Yeah.
Like,
in the end, they
means
do.
business,
because
and everyone knows he means business.
Remember that, what Teddy Roosevelt said, speak softly, carry a big stick?
Carry a big stick.
Well, Trump has a big stick, and he can be a friendly guy, or he can, give you a look and say, hey, you're playing here, and
he'll make a phone call and get hostages released. I mean, he has this magical leverage.
Ronald Reagan.
You know what I mean?
Well,
he really has a gift at
I think
really
he does.
being effective at
Yes.
being president, a
Yes.
good president.
Yes, he is effective because he knows what his options are, and he's not afraid to exercise his options.
What's he got to
If he
lose?
draws a red line in the sand, there's a red line in the sand.
That's right.
These other guys, like Obama, would draw a red line in the sand and he'd erase it. Oh, we didn't really mean, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to. And people knew that. But I think people are understanding that the United States is being led by a different thought process today. And so the Canadian Prime Minister, he backed off in 45 minutes, you said?
45 minutes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember going, what is it? Oh, okay, never mind. I even said never mind on my channel. I said, never mind.
Yep, it's gone away.
Problem gone.
Problem gone.
Then all the Democrats started complaining and bitching and moaning and groaning and saying whatever they had to say. And it's like, okay, TDS is now firmly one more knob on that dial.
Well, I think the number of people who have TDS badly is probably shrinking a little bit. Some of them have been getting some health care.
I've heard. Did you guys hear that some people are trying to make it a legitimate medical disorder?
It's psychologically.
Well, that's
shrinks are now.
Yeah.
I'm
not surprised.
TDS
I think that there is some reality to it because, I mean, what forms does mental illness take? It takes a lot of forms. There's a whole spectrum of things that can be classified as mentally ill. But those who are divorced from reality,
that's the word.
They're the dangerous.
That's a form of mental illness. And I think that the people that are complaining and saying, I see some stuff I don't go to Facebook. I talked before the show about my heart condition. I got to make sure I watch my blood pressure.
Sure,
so I'm not watching the news. I'm staying away from social media. I'm just doing train stuff with my son. And I do a motorcycle stuff in the garage. And of course I come here. But now I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
But I think that there is a mental illness. There is a mental illness here.
It's an irrational
these people are
belief.
divorced from reality. They're believing things that are simply not true. And I can put flat earthers into that category because they're believing things that are not true. Yeah. And I think that's a medical condition. There's something legitimately wrong.
Well, they have too much time on their hands. One, they're watching the wrong TV programs because, like The View, how that's still on the air, I don't know. How CNN, I mean, there's more employees now than there are people that watch the actual programs. That's been written documentation.
Yeah.
Just the other day, this guy's saying, look, the acceptance level, the approval level, holy crap, we're going back to 1993.
Yeah.
You liberals need to get your act together. No, don't. Stay in turmoil. Let the independents and
Well,
Republicans come
they're
in.
showing no signs of making any changes.
But it's like, back to what you were saying, the belief in the irrational.
Yeah.
I saw a wonderful post late last night on LinkedIn, and it says, "Oh, Trump is a misogynist. Here's a list of all the powerful, dominant women he's put into
Right.
Yes.
Right.
tons and tons and tons of them. Tulsi Gabbard and
Right.
our
Hey,
press secretary. Says, oh, he's homophobic. Well, here's a list of a bunch of the homosexual people he's hired.
Right.
And here's a list of all these other people he
Blacks
hired.
and
And it was
Hispanic
just
and
a list,
Asian.
just completely
But he
distilling
hires
and
them for their
disproving
everything.
quality,
Quality.
for their ability to do the job.
Yeah, because they have merit. He
Right,
he
they have
bases
merit.
everything on merit.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
goes,
that's the way it
oh,
should
he's
be. I mean,
he's a
you get-
xenophobe, this, that, and well, Marco Rubio. And they had a huge list of all these amazing people that he's put into positions of power.
Yes.
And none of the
doing a
lies
stellar
are
job.
true about what they're saying
I know,
about
but
how
yet
he's
they
bigoted
believe
and so
this
forth.
stuff, and that's the mental illness part. I think
do-
that
yeah.
there is. I'm not surprised. I think that they might not like to hear it, but it's better to be diagnosed and get treatment than it is to not,
Self-destruct.
because you're going to continue down a path that is not going to get better by itself. Weren't you saying earlier? We talked before the show started about Elon Musk's kids coming home from college.
Yeah. And he didn't recognize. He says, I did not raise you to think how you're thinking. This is completely backwards.
They probably went to a good school.
Probably, I don't remember which
Well,
one. But
much money can buy.
yeah, and he says, I was scared. I couldn't believe my eyes and my ears
Yeah.
about what my kid...
So all this derangement stuff it's
College.
being
It's
put
programmed.
into
It's
it's being
programmed.
Well, the
programmed into
indoctrination
these
centers
people.
are universities, elementary schools, and high schools.
Public schools. I think get them out of the public schools.
I
Get your kids
Once
out of
I
public
start
schools.
getting into this campaign more, and I can visit schools and visit colleges and visit these local areas, I'll find out for myself.
You know what? One thing I did when I was an alderman, I toured the schools,
There you go.
public schools, and I
Okay.
toured the charter schools, both
There
of them.
you go.
These charter schools that we have here, Max, Microsociety Academy, and Academy for Science and Design, they're both nationally ranked charter schools. Some of the best in the country are right here in Nashua. And then some of the worst schools in the world are public schools in America, and some of the worst schools in the state of New Hampshire are right here in Nashua. So we have some of the best in the country and some of the worst. And
It's there.
the
just to be
delineation
seen.
is so clear when there's, I think,
Caring involved.
when there's
Yeah.
caring involved, like we
Back
talked
to
about
that,
in the
back to
previous
that.
segment, when there's
Parental and
caring
the teacher.
involved,
First block, yeah.
Communications between the two, better
when there's caring
curriculum.
involved, and when the goal is not simply money, because the goal on the public education side is simply money. And the
it's
goal, I think, for a lot of these folks at the colleges, it's simply money. They charge so much
Yeah.
for this tuition, and they just brainwash these kids into
Well,
to
they're
idiocy.
just- they're making them voters.
I just saw Harvard.
making them voters.
Harvard, yeah. They posted tuition and room and board is like $84,000 a year.
Yeah,
Well,
my entire
for an
college education
undergraduate
didn't
degree.
cost
And
$84,000.
then you're going to come out a moron.
I think 4 years, $4
But you get to
trillion
say you went to Harvard.
Bayless, this guy runs for office. I'm going to get rid of student debt. Didn't happen. They still got it. They may have got a little bit money, but they're probably going to end up having to pay it back.
I
But
sure hope that all these kids have to pay back their
go in the
debts.
military, folks. Get it, at least get
That's
it clear,
it.
get a skill, then go. Now we won't talk about VA and how I got given part of the stick, but let's stop that kind of stuff too while we're at it, because I didn't get my 4-year degree, but I signed a piece of paper saying I'd be an indentured servant for 6.
Yeah.
And 2 years before I got out, VA said, "Oh, the government just changed the rules.
Canceled it.
How do you get a 4-year degree in 2 years?" I tried. I really, really tried until 1984 when the money ran out. You can't sit in that cheat no more because we're not going to fund it. Wait a minute, I just did 6 years in the military for that agreement. And oh, by the way, where's my VA health and where's this and that and the other thing? But
Well, I think military. I think military is a good way to go.
right
I
now
didn't
they're-
do
They're
it.
signing them up like crazy right now.
Well, they are, and that's interesting too. I think that I was a civilian contractor. I deployed to Iraq and to Afghanistan.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I
Oh.
know. Well, but
The
I
sand,
wanted to serve too. I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to see
call
what's
it
going
sandbox?
on. And it's amazing. Yeah, I was playing in the sandbox. When George Bush was president, Bush Jr., I
There
felt
you
a lot
go.
safer over there because we
Mission-
weren't very far from the border of Iran, where I was stationed. Weren't far. And Iran maybe has long-range missiles, but they don't have to. If they want to attack America, they don't have to attack New York City. They can attack a base that's, I can see the border. I can see the mountains. It's right over there.
Yeah.
So I felt vulnerable when Obama got elected because, and I think a lot of people did, and we've seen the military just shrink. I think DEI was a big factor
he did a
there.
good job at
I
getting
think
rid of them.
the lack of protection for the troops was a big factor there. But I think
The morale was also
the morale was
crushed.
crushed.
Oh my God.
Was crushed.
Majors were being kicked out. Majors were being kicked out.
Crushed. And so I think with Trump in office, I think those people who are in the military, American military, they know that they got someone who's truly got their back.
Well, the
Pete
COVID.
Hegseth. Two
Yes.
thumbs up to Pete.
Oh yeah.
This
Yes.
guy wrote the book on canning DEI out of the military. He
Yes.
literally wrote the book on it. He has a
So
novel.
they're doing that, and I think that the people in the military know they got their back, and our enemies know. I think people in Yemen, the Houthis, are probably learning a couple lessons right now. That's
Rain
something else
from
that's going
above.
on.
You've heard the stats that we really are signing up more people for the
Yes.
military than
Yes.
we ever have.
Yes.
Like
Think
it's
there's a world war
absolute
going right
record
now.
breaking.
That's correct.
That's
What
great.
Pete Hegseth is doing as Secretary of Defense.
They're open public. Let's put it this way. I just watched where the Department of the Defense Department spokesperson standing there with his Brigadier General talking about the transparency of the military now. We're going to tell you folks everything about whatever campaign happened 24 hours, 48, 72 hours ago. Once we've analyzed it, civilians were not killed. Civilians were killed. These are the many.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you. And
Pete's
I love
an
it. It's
effective
almost like a little bit of.
communicator.
And
Yes.
Pete can speak really well,
You wanna
and
do
he's
that.
direct as hell, and he's serious. He's a very serious guy when it comes to actually
He's one of them.
doing
He's
his
one of
job.
us. He's
He
one
was
of the
on
guys
Fox
who was in the
News.
trench.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing how so many people
He watched
like,
his friends die. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
It's all about having a war fighter in the position of authority that know that what eating an MRE is really like, knowing what it's
I
like
know
to
what an
take
MRE
a
is
shower.
like. I
out
don't
of a-
like 'em.
I liked them. I tested them for 21 days down at the
Oh, yeah.
Natick Lab. So my thumbs up for me for everything I got to chew on.
Well,
That's another story.
Meal
And I
ready?
do-
I'll take my
Ready to
wife's
eat.
cooking.
ready to eat.
Ready to eat.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
got a house full of them. So
Well, we got a bunch in the basement too. It's, I'm not a prepper, but I do have something in case
there you go.
stuff runs
I
out. We
just
got a few
bunch
MREs in the
today.
basement.
I love them.
But I think that it's great to see the military being
Yes.
rebuilt. Just
Thank
like
you.
we got to
About
rebuild
time.
our energy
And we got
industry, we got to
raises.
rebuild education. We got to do a lot of
A
rebuilding.
lot of rebuilding. I love that word.
Lot of
A lot of
rebuilding.
rebuilding.
but now is the time.
Now
Yes.
is
Now is the time, and I think that the administration is aware of it and is going to take the necessary steps under Trump. Because I just think he's going to do as much as humanly possible. He's just.
And that's why we're here on
running-
the show.
he's-
It's amazing how fast he's
running
going.
with the
Yes.
baton, sprinting.
It
Yeah.
doesn't give him
At-
time
at a
to freak
breakneck
out.
speed.
He's always changing the checker pieces and the chess pieces and the card game
Yeah.
because he knows that as long as I can keep. And the guy is 78 years old.
You know, I think all these Democrats go to bed at night
gonna have
and
them
they
all.
wake up in the morning and the chessboard looks.
It's
I didn't
different.
leave it like that yesterday.
It's
It's
all different.
changed. Something has
Yeah,
changed
Something's changed.
overnight,
Who
and
didn't-
they
who
can't
did-
even go to sleep anymore
Who's
without
dropping the ball? But
waking up and seeing
The
something
whole thing.
different.
I have to watch the news every single morning. I have to be on top of the ball because everything is evolving and
Yeah.
so rapidly just going forward at the speed of light. I feel like I'm letting our viewers down if I'm not really on top of
good.
coming up with a good list of stuff that we can communicate to our listeners.
Yeah.
a lot
Because
of folks
it's
out
just
there don't need to watch all this. Just come here
yeah,
and see
just
it from here.
we'll teach you.
We're gonna
We're
tell you
here
the
to
unbiased
educate,
part.
man,
It's just
and give you
Unbiased.
perspectives.
we can call this the 3. We can't call it the View
5.
because I can't call it the 5. We can't
I don't
call
want
it
to be
View.
called the View.
I don't want to
folks.
be called the View.
Yeah. That's. I watched it a little bit today. And went, I gotta turn this off.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
gross.
These two yapping cackles are.
You don't need to watch that.
No.
You're not gonna.
I think with
It's not
artificial
edifying.
intelligence, I'm going to be able to in the future go television. Yes, Greg. I don't want to see that channel. I don't even want to subscribe. If it's bilingual, go ahead and put it. I want to have their voice come out, not I don't want to read while I'm watching a TV show. I'm totally distracted
Yeah.
already as it is by doing multiple things at the same time. That just give me the point of view that I want to see. Now, if I'm an independent, I've got either side. I'll listen to both sides. That's my job. You tell me. I'll put it together in my brain, and then I'm going to parrot out what I believe needs to be parroted out. But some of these folks out there today, not like our show, they're going to sit there and be, okay, now we're back in the back room. What's kind of da-da-da-da. Now, because I'm watching these videos after videos after videos going, these are national or state news broadcasts. They all go by the same script.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
the
It's
same
fun to
phraseologies.
watch.
Same phraseology.
It's an existential threat to our
threat to
democracy.
democracy.
Have you,
Threat to
have you seen that
democracy.
one with
Oh
100
my
or 10 by
God.
10 with 100 things?
Yeah.
They're all
And then when they
English speaking
got 'em
all
all
around the
synced
world.
up.
They're
Threat
all
to my
saying the
democracy.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
And you look at them
That's
going,
by
you
design.
poor
It is
swine.
by
That is a
design.
psyops.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
again, we're boiling it all. There's so much every single day.
Yeah.
Psyops.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah,
brainwashing.
that's how we brainwash.
It's brainwashing.
brainwashing. I think that
Hitler would be happy.
we should turn off our TVs. I've told you guys before. I mean, we have folks here watching TV. Thanks for watching.
Or a cell
Or
phone,
they're
or a
watching
computer,
their
on the internet.
YouTube or whatever on the internet. But we don't have
Thank
a
you.
TV at home. We don't have a TV at home.
Good
we
for
don't.
you.
It isn't just that we have one that's not plugged in. We do not have one.
No.
And we don't have one because we don't need that stuff coming into our
Because
house.
it's
Or
pollution, right.
mostly we don't need it coming into our minds. We don't need it coming into our son's mind.
Well, they
Now,
didn't
the
have
next thing
TVs
is the
before.
phone. We got to get rid of the phone. I really.
Oh, I don't even answer mine. I'll just sit there and buzz. Keep
Well,
buzzing all you want. 'Cause
Not
I'm
too many
thinking
people
of-
call me, but I look at stuff
Text
there.
me.
I can internet, I got email, I got
text me.
text, I got all this stuff.
My robot will
If
take
someone
care of it
wants to
later.
reach me, they can reach me. You know, during the summertime now, I work on the motorcycles and I have the big garage door open because we have some nice days. You know what? In my neighborhood, people stop by and talk.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's
I was there
nice.
when someone stopped by.
That's right.
When I was
Well,
there
people
with
are still stopping
seeing
by
you.
all the time. My
Just
friend's
stopping
son comes over and he learns some mechanic stuff, and other
called
people
water
just they
cool
don't
discussion.
call ahead, they don't send a text, they just stop by.
What you doing?
So I had 3 or 4 people the other day. That was such a nice day because people are out and
Walking
about,
down
and my
by,
door
we
is
gotta
open,
get out. Yeah.
and people are stopping by. That's right. The day you were there,
Yeah, the
people
guy
are
had a
stopping by.
question and you were able to help him.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
you
auto
gave him good
mechanics,
information. I
auto
remember
Yeah,
that.
people stop by. We roast coffee now too. We got our own coffee roaster
Look
going
at
in the
you.
garage.
Look
so
at you. There you go.
my neighbor said, "Hey, I heard you. I smelled the coffee roasting." So I know it's a small
no.
roaster, but he could smell the
That's
coffee. I love the
okay.
smell of roasted
Make a
coffee.
small business out of something like that.
Well, you know, you can, but it's not so easy in Nashua. Nashua
that?
has their own set of rules.
Uh-oh.
And so, according to the state, you know, you can do
permit?
homestead type production. And if you were in a different town, if you're in
Okay.
Milford or something like that, the state rule applies. Milford is not going to bug you. I'm just using Milford as an
That's fine,
example.
yeah.
But Nashua has their own Department of Health, which is their
Right.
Department of Control.
There you
So
go.
they got their own Department of Control. And I
Well, I can't
know
have chicken.
stories from other people who have attempted businesses. Brewery, you know, microbrewery,
Yeah,
they had
yeah,
a
yeah,
huge headache, paying huge money because it took the city so long to grant their approvals. In other cities and towns, that wouldn't even be necessary. So I would say lots you can do.
Lots you can't.
Home roasting, but in New Hampshire, in Nashua, there's a lot you can't do.
Okay.
And it's because they want their money or they want their
Well,
control or they want their whatever.
As a senator, I'll fix that.
Great.
Okay, that's not a promise.
What about you? I got a decision to make here. I got a decision to make.
Already beat you.
I do drink.
We'll talk about it.
I get a little coffee.
You
in
go
the
for
morning.
Maggie Hass's job.
I do
I'd like
drink.
to see you both guys, both you
That'd
guys.
be
in there.
great.
So we
I'd
get
love it.
Maggie out of there.
Get Maggie out of there
and
and
we'll
get
get
Gene.
Gene's gone. So
The governor, we love the governor, so we'll always support
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
We'll get the rest of these state guys out of the picture and get all our people in and make this country continue to be strong and
well,
dependable.
I'd like to see New Hampshire become a leader again.
Well, we used to pick the president for crying out
We
loud.
used to pick the president, and now
Get back to that.
I think we should get back to that. But I think you're probably right about
First
some of the
in
kids
primaries.
at
No, it's the
Durham.
universities. When
Universities
there's
who-
like 15,000 kids
Well,
that just
and
get bust.
we'll allow 'em.
Busted,
We'll
and you
fix
know
that.
they're all leftists.
Yeah.
Almost,
We'll
I would
fix
say.
But I would
majority.
like New Hampshire. I'd like Nashua to become a leading kind of a city. It's not now. It's a
used to-
Well, it
following.
should be.
It's
We
behind.
used to- road should
the
be
number
paved
one
in
city
gold
in
because
America
of the
twice.
state.
92. What was it? 89 and 92.
Yeah, Donchis was mayor
8
then too,
years,
and he solicited that. That's
That's
a
like
solicitation.
who's who
It's
and
not.
who's who. That's
Yeah.
That's a bought.
It isn't real.
It's a bought thing.
It's
paid for.
bought and
But
paid for.
still, I got
But
the word out.
I think that Nashua can be legitimately ranked as a good city to live in with legitimately good education. I think it's possible. And I think New Hampshire can move from being a follower, which we are now. I mean, the followers are the ones who voted for Harris. They're the loser class. I don't understand why they did
over
it.
the border from Mass.
Well,
Yes,
You know that.
but I'd like to see.
imports
I'd
are
like to see
killing
New
us.
Hampshire become great again. I'd like to
I
see
would
New
love to
Hampshire
see
become a leader
It needs
again.
yes, I agree
I'd
with
like
you
to see
100%.
Nashua join those ranks too.
Nashua needs some slapping around a little bit, and then taking this state line issue with no sales tax. But in my opinion, legalize marijuana as a recreational drug and tax the crap out of it.
I'm not a tax guy, no matter what.
But we do it with everything else. There's a bed tax here for RV parks. Give me a break. Anyway, I said my piece.
All righty. So what else we got? We got a couple other things we want to touch on before we only got a little bit of time here. Let's talk about Israel real quickly. The ceasefire's over.
Oh.
I feel very badly for those remaining hostages, but
Well,
Hamas wants to keep ceasefires going, so they drag everything out, rearm, and all the
Their
rest of
mantra
it.
is war. They
Their
just
mantra
want to
is
fight
war,
forever.
and I think Israel
Their
recognized
identity
that.
is-
4,000
That's their
years.
identity. They
That's their
don't know
identity.
what they're going to do if they don't. It's almost like back in World War II when the war is over, it's time for you to go.
What?
You can go, and people went, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I've just been a captive for so long.
That's right.
There's-
Yeah.
You
Like,
know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know exactly
They didn't
what
know,
you're talking
they didn't know
about.
what to
I know
do. You're
Yeah,
free.
yeah,
You
I've
can
been
go.
doing what I've been doing.
Well, I don't know what to do now that I'm free.
Well, I think that
That's how they
Just go away. We're not gonna feed
I
you.
support Israel's move. If
Yes,
Hamas wasn't going
absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
negotiate
I
anymore
support
for the
Israel.
hostages,
No, they're
I
not.
feel very bad for the hostages.
But I feel for the Palestinians.
There's more. We have more dead over there now than alive. It's 25, 24 or something like that.
But I want to see Israel. I want to see Gaza. The whole thing just go away.
Bury it and bulldoze and turn into a
Yeah,
park.
turned into part of Israel or something. Someone's got to control it. Who's got some responsibility
There's
to take
tunnels there that's
responsibility
gonna
and
take
not be
years
like
to
what
find.
Hamas is doing. So anyway, we'll see how that plays out. And there's the whole West Bank too. And then finally, I just don't want it to go without talking just for a minute. I know we're over time about the auto pen.
That auto pen, oh my goodness, that's such a stir.
I think, Biden didn't know what he was signing. I mean, he was confronted a number of times.
We don't know.
And so it was always a
We don't
shock to
know.
think, well, how did he sign his name
We don't know.
and not know what he signed?
Hold
But
it
the
to
fact
the
of the matter
air.
is he didn't sign his name.
We don't
It was
know.
done by an auto pen, apparently.
Well, it's
and
starting
of course,
to
I'm
show
not
more and
acknowledging
more
it.
and more because I got
The signatures are exactly
Nope.
the same, right?
exactly. You could hold them to the light. Go on this one. I did with Bill Clinton's, and I cannot wait to get some of these old ones from Sleepy Joe because technically, as long as the law says that if he knows and authorized it and was aware of it, it's legal. Otherwise, they're all illegal. The only way to find out is to drag him into court for each individual signature.
And he has
Do
no
you
idea.
recall? Do you recall? I don't know.
And
I
you know
don't
what's going to happen?
You know he's
Yeah.
gonna
It's
say
just
that.
going to
Who am
go.
I? Yeah.
If the guy drops dead tomorrow,
Yeah.
auto pen is the worst invention out there.
Well,
For
it looks
politicians.
like Trump is doing his own signatures.
He is. He's sitting there.
Yes.
That's what bizarre. I mean,
And then he won a golf championship too recently,
oh,
right?
they're slamming him on that for crying out loud. Look at
Yeah.
the way he's holding his pants. Look at that. Shut up. Just
Yeah.
leave the guy alone and let
That's
him
the
do
Trump
his
derangement
job.
syndrome.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a clinically
What's
diagnosed.
his face?
Private.
2 scoops of vanilla
Yeah.
ice cream. You remember that?
I do.
Insulting him over
I'm
what his
sorry. I'm
ice
sorry.
cream he's eating.
Yeah. What did-
Anything that they can attack this
Yeah,
guy on, they're
yeah.
going to do.
McDonald's. My guy loves fast food.
haven't
He's
had
sitting there
McDonald's in a
eating
long
these
time.
Burger Kings, or the guy goes and says, "Hey, let me do this. Hey, let me do this. It's going to drive the left nuts. Have a good day, Mr. or Mrs." That's my president.
Yeah, I know.
He's not a politician.
I know, he's
That's
doing
what
great.
I want to wear. My next
The
T-shirt.
politicians are the ones who are so deranged. There's a few people out in public, certainly, who are. I see people on
Not
Facebook,
a
they're out of their
politician.
minds. But I think it's a lot of leftist politicians. Guys, we got to wrap it up here. We're out of time. Thanks again. We've done
Well.
2 episodes today. We're not going to do a third, but we'll come back and we'll do some more at another time. And folks, I want to thank you for tuning in. You're watching Perspectives. I'm David Schoneman. I'm here with Dave Narkunas and Greg Faith. We're talking about current events, what's going on in the country, and there's so much to talk about.
So much.
If you have any questions or comments, shoot us an email. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.